We have a pretty packed agenda, I would say, today. There we go. So as you can see, we will start with some news from us, from Microsoft for Startup side. I will talk a little bit longer today than I usually would like to, just to start off and make sure that you know where to find stuff that we have for you. Then we will have a short introduction to COSA. I hope all of you viewed the video that I sent you. Then we'll have an open discussion and some networking at the very end. So to start with, where to find what you need. I know that this might be very confusing. We have so many resources in Microsoft and they're everywhere. So we tried to create a startup kit where you can find everything you need. So there is a README file that obviously is very important to read. There you can find some resources, basic information about how the program looks like. You can find there in the startup kit events, our up-to-date event calendar. You can find the program and the COSA overview, helpful materials, anything you need. If there is something that you feel is missing in the startup kit, please let me know, and we'll make sure to add it there. You can also find information on our website, on our LinkedIn, on our Twitter and newsletter, and of course during the meetings with us. Then what's lined up for this month? Firstly, in terms of events, there's a calendar of activity, up-to-date one in your startup kit. So if you just want to find out what's lined up there, it's already available. Then when it comes to marketing, we have a new initiative called Know Your Founder. It's an initiative where if you have a co-founder, and you would like to participate, we would call you and ask you a few questions. These are fun questions about your co-founder that we would record, edit, and then post on our social media. So it's kind of a way for us to show who you are, show your fun side, and make our audience aware of your startup. Then we have, of course, the best practices in the startup kit in terms of marketing. So if you would like to learn how to make sure that you share the information with us, so for example, if you just close a new funding round, or if there's a great article in national news about you and you would like to amplify it through our social media, please make sure to send it to me and we will make sure to post it through our LinkedIn account and Twitter account. We also have CTO Cookbook. I'm not sure if Jonathan from Userlane is on the call, but he is one of the startups who are participating in it. So it's basically a marketing initiative from the developer side, where we show our startups best practices on developing solutions with Azure. All of these activities, again, we would like to share them with you, would like you to participate in them. So just keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're specialized in. Let us know what you would like to see, and we're more than happy to help here. And last but not least, technical support. Again, in the startup kit, there's a lot of information. We will be updating it regularly. So please keep in mind that new stuff is coming, and check this startup kit regularly. And last but not least, resources are available also in the calendar of activities. There's one side in calendar of activity that is, I guess, might be skipped usually, but I really encourage you not to skip it, to click on the links. There's plenty of technical information. There's plenty of marketing information there, of business also resources. So make sure to make a good use of it. And if there is something that, again, you feel is missing, something that you feel we should do more of or less of, or just continue doing what we do, your feedback is extremely important to us. And after the session as well, I would like to hear if you liked it, if there's something that we can improve. So with that being said, I would love to give give voice to Samantha, our main speaker today. And she will give us a short overview of the co-sell in Microsoft, and then we'll jump into questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Sophia. Nice to meet you all. My name is Samantha Bowman. I'm the Global Success Management Lead on the Microsoft for Startups team. And my sole responsibility is to help startups once they have created a solution on our technologies and are ready to go to market, to help you all actually scale commercially by going to market with Microsoft and through what we call our co-sell motion. So what Sophia has highlighted here on the slide is kind of the journey for startups. So if you think about where you're, depending on where you're starting with Microsoft, a lot of it, if you've just joined the Microsoft for Startups program, or if you're considering it, it all starts with actually getting into the program, getting an offer, activating your offer, starting to build your solution or migrate your solution over to Azure. And then what we really want you to do is publish your solution into our marketplace, because our commercial marketplace is actually the jumping off spot to go to market with Microsoft. And so then that starts your journey of then potentially coming down to work with my team to actually do what we call co-sell. And so I think what's important to know when you think about co-selling with Microsoft, the quick pitch that I give is really there's 3 ways that we can help you scale commercially into enterprise. And it's not meant to replace your sales strategy or your sales channels. It's meant to be another set of sales channels for you. So if you think about Microsoft, we are massive, right? We have access into enterprise corporations all over the world. We have a massive partner ecosystem. And so what we kind of decided about 7 or 8 years ago is we really want to continue to be a leader in cloud. What we need to make sure happens is we need all of our third-party partners that are building IP solutions to be on our technologies to also be successful. And so essentially what we did was try to figure out how can we also help them sell into our customers, which is really the premise of this co-sell motion, right? It's if you define it, it's just collaborative selling together with Microsoft. And as I said, that can look like you're selling through our commercial marketplace. So the commercial marketplace is where we sell first-party and third-party products, where we push all of our customers to actually buy those things. And so there's over 3.5 million monthly users of our marketplace. I think it was the last stat that I heard just a couple weeks ago. And so, I mean, there's a ton of customers that access first-party and third-party solutions on our marketplace. And so that's one of the ways that we want you guys to start go-to-market with us, which is also why it's the first step in your journey once you have a product that's ready to go to market. And one of the benefits for a startup that I cannot stress is so important is actually by transacting through our marketplace. It gives you the ability to transact on Microsoft's paper. So when you think about selling into enterprise, that can be really overwhelming. There's a lot to navigate when you're selling into enterprise, right? Some of you probably have experience in this. Some of you probably come from enterprise. You can understand how taxing it can be just to go through the procurement process. So the ability to leverage Microsoft's procurement and payment relationship with these enterprise customers is a huge win for a startup. It's going to give you the ability to actually close on those opportunities faster. So that's why we stress as a startup, your first spot is publishing into our marketplace, and that's going to be kind of your jumping off tool so that you can scale into enterprise and really get new customers through our marketplace as well. The other thing that our marketplace does is then it opens up that partner channel ecosystem. So as I said, Microsoft is massive. Not only are we, selling directly into, the largest corporations all over the world, we also have a massive partner ecosystem. So we have systems integrators, managed service providers, licensed service providers. We have device partners all over the world. So people that are literally building business practices around helping sell Microsoft solutions and products. And so some of those partners would be a really advantageous sales channel for you all, because that might be, maybe you're targeting more SMB customers, and Microsoft typically sells into SMB through our partner channel. So that might be a better way where we can actually say, hey, you know what, you're going to be able to scale faster, probably into new geographies, if we connect you with some of our partner ecosystem, which is where we would say we can also do that by getting you published in the marketplace, because you can make your solution available to be resold through that partner ecosystem, where you can then create partnerships to help then grow a new sales and distribution channel. And then the final thing that we can do in the co-sell is selling directly with our field sellers, right? So again, there's 3 different ways we can co-sell with you. There's through our marketplace, we can help you create partnerships, and then we can also sell with you directly through our field. And that is to the traditional like co-sell model that I would say a lot of people focus on. And that is where it looks like you can collaborate with our field sellers to actually sell your solutions. And what Sophia has up here these are the requirements to get to that place where you can sell with our field sellers. So the benefits, this is a program that's available for partners all over the world, not just startups. But so, when you think about joining and partnering with Microsoft, even the largest ISVs can sell with our field sellers. But the benefit for startups is by coming through our program, you actually get some special exemptions to get you into that co-sell program faster. And you get a support from a success manager on my team to actually help you succeed in this co-sell motion. As Sophia had mentioned, Microsoft can be very confusing, and we want to make sure that we're setting you all up to really succeed. And then we want to teach you how to understand how to sell with Microsoft. We want you to understand how to best work with our sellers. What is it that they care about? How do you position your solution? How does it align to some of the sales plays we have so that you could potentially benefit from that momentum? So that's kind of all the types of stuff that we can do with you when you work with my team. And so these are really tactical requirements to get into the IP co-sell program, which is where you're selling with our field sellers. But you're gonna essentially, you have to be enrolled in the program. You have to be on Marketplace. We're looking for your Azure consumption, even if it's on credits. We just want to see that there's some meaningful consumption to show that you're actually utilizing our technology. And then we do want to take a look at what is your existing sales team and marketing team strategy. One of the things that's hard for our account executives when I've talked to them about, what would keep you from selling with a startup, one of the things that causes them some concern is their reliability, right? As a startup, are you going to be here tomorrow? Do you actually have the ability to scale into enterprise? If they bring you, 10 customers, can you really support them? Or is that going to overwhelm you and you're not going to be able to deliver? And so what we're trying to make sure is that, you all are ready at that point of your sales and business practice maturity to actually sell into enterprise and make sure that, when you get an opportunity that you're able to close on it and that you don't, that it doesn't cause you any sort of that there's not any sort of unreliability or trust not happening, if that makes any sense, because that's a harder thing to overcome. If an account exec and a sales team has a bad experience, that's a harder thing to overcome to get anyone else to want to work with you. So we really put a lot of emphasis on where you're at in your business maturity and what's your strategy to win enterprise customers. And then we do look for one verifiable win. It doesn't have to be on Azure. We just want to see that there's one case study that we can go out and tell our sellers, hey, this is so-and-so, their solution's this, and, this enterprise is already using their solution, so that they can see that there is someone that's actually utilizing it. So those are some of the requirements. So I'll pause there because that was longer than a 5-minute overview, but Sophia, are there other questions?
Yes. So guys, I'm going to stop sharing and I would like you to ask your questions. You can also raise your hand and then we will give you voice if you prefer that, not the chat. In the meantime, I would like to ask a few questions that I got in advance, so to say. One of them was, why are you looking at usage? Why is 5K so important?
Yeah, so if you think of, as I said, the co-sell program is actually for partners all over the world of large, very large ISVs. And actually, the requirement, if you're not a startup, is that you have to have $100,000 in trailing 12-month Azure usage. So the idea is to really show that you are platformed on Azure, that you are using our technologies. And I know that it's, a lot of you can build out solutions that are on multi-clouds, but the idea is if we want to make sure that if we're helping bring you into our customers, that at the end of the day, like, we're helping you be successful because you're built on our technology, and ultimately that helps Microsoft be successful. Like, this isn't a secret, right? Like, we want you to be successful because if you're consuming more Azure, we're more successful, right? So we're looking at consumption because we want to make sure that you are actually platformed on our technology and that you are utilizing it in some capacity. And for startups, while you're on credits, you're not paying for Azure at this point, but we want to make sure that you're at least, again, that you've activated your offer, that you're utilizing it, that maybe you do have some customers already that are helping you spend more of your Azure. So that's why.
Cool. Any questions on that? There's a question from Akkard. I don't know if you can see it in chat. African continent, how about your network cross-selling opportunities there? And I think this kind of ties in with a lot of questions that I get as well. If I sell, let's say, if I'm a German company, can I sell to other countries, other locations as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that's such a benefit of Microsoft is you can sell into about, I think it's like 141 countries all over the world. And so the way that you can do that, you can absolutely, yes, we absolutely have a network in Africa. And so essentially there's a couple ways that you can position yourself to sell globally with Microsoft. First, as I said, in the marketplace, you can actually select the countries that you want to sell into. So if you publish your solution in marketplace and you make a transactable offer, meaning a customer could go to Azure Marketplace or AppSource and purchase your solution directly through Microsoft, you could do that. You could say, I only want to do that in the US. You could say, I only want to do that in Germany. You can pick your country, and then you're going to benefit from Microsoft's procurement and payment relationships for that specific country. There are some tax things that you have to work out by country, and that's all in the publishing process and in the guide for you. So that's one of the first ways to do it. Then for the co-sell, IP co-sell motion, where you're selling with our field sellers, what we actually do is we get you IP co-sell ready by country. So what that means is that you'd have to have an established sales role covering the countries that you want to sell into, because what happens on the inside in Microsoft is, our sellers can see the IP co-sell ready solutions by their country, and if they have an opportunity, they will literally reach out to the seller that you've listed from your company that's working with that specific country. And so you have to be able to have collateral for that country, and then you have to have a seller. And so that's all something that we can help you do. We can actually get you IP co-sell ready by the countries that you're targeting. And then, there's sellers, like I said, we have 40,000 sellers all over the world. So we can definitely, they're, again, aligned to specific customers in each country and region. And so there's definitely opportunities to help co-sell globally. But we do recommend with startups, just so you all know, where I've seen startups actually fail at this is where they try to go too big too fast. So when we're working with startups, we actually really want you to get targeted on a specific geography and even a specific industry. Even if you have a horizontal solution, the best way to go deeper faster with Microsoft is to get very targeted. So we would actually recommend that you focus on a specific country and a specific industry so that we can really help you succeed there as quickly as possible. And then the nice thing is once you start to succeed in a very specific region and a specific industry, you start to kind of gain momentum. You have more success stories and case studies to share internally across Microsoft to show, hey, this has been awesome. Here's what our solution is doing for these customers. Here's how we've been working with your account team, the other account teams, and that'll kind of give you some traction to keep doing that across other geographies and other industries.
Fantastic. There's a great question from Lex as well. It's a bit more specific, but I think we can generalize it. So how does it exactly work with leads? Do we do startup have to bring leads on board, or do we kind of, as Microsoft, bring customers to them as well? And what is the success rate, so to say, of the sales?
Yeah. So so the way this works initially, just to like be very transparent and set some expectations, the startup, what we do with you is initially you're going to be bringing opportunities to Microsoft. So if you think about this, like if you're targeting enterprise and you've maybe, let's say, Liberty Mutual is, I think you said insurance. Liberty Mutual is a customer that you're trying to go after, and maybe you've talked with somebody, but you just haven't gone very far. If I'm on your sales team, what I'm kind of thinking is, what are all the strategies that I can do to actually like continue to drive forward that opportunity? Microsoft sellers can be part of that strategy, right? You can upload that opportunity into the bidirectional lead sharing tool that you would get access to, and it would be assigned to the account executives that are working with Liberty Mutual from Microsoft's perspective. And essentially what you then get to do is just say, hey, here's where we're at with this lead. These are the people we've been talking to. This is the pain point that we believe this customer has that our solution can solve. And here's what we would love to collaborate with you on, or here's what we're looking for. And that could be an introduction to a better contact. That could be, the seller actually just like vouching like, hey, this is a great solution. We think that they're doing really cool things and they're built on Microsoft, so we really trust them. Like, so those are the types of things. So you would bring that opportunity at first. Because as a startup, again, what I said, when you talk to our account teams, they all actually have a huge appetite to work with startups because you bring such incredible innovation into their industry typically, that they want to be able to show like, what are the most cutting edge solutions? Like, what are these things that could really help their customer digitally transform and really differentiate themselves, right? And then how can we as Microsoft help them do that? Because we have this awesome set of startups that are doing these things that we really trust. And so they have this appetite, but the concern is that, that you're just not like, are you going to be here tomorrow? Are they reliable? Is this something that's actually going to stick? And so for startups, I think what we kind of set expectations is like, hey, you're going to bring the first leads. Like you're going to we always say like, let's look at your first 5 leads, like bring those to us. Where you need help, right? If you're working with Liberty Mutual and you don't need our help, like you can obviously win Liberty Mutual without Microsoft, right? But if you need help and you want support, then that's where you can bring these opportunities, share them with Microsoft. We would accept them. Or the account team has the opportunity to accept or decline them. So if they're saying, hey, you know what, you're doing a great job, we're not quite sure that this is something we can support you on right now, they would decline it. That doesn't mean you couldn't go forward with Liberty Mutual. It just means that they wouldn't be helping. But then what we see is after we've seen startups kind of in the co-sell program for over like a year, and you guys have been able to share leads and jointly win on opportunities, that's when we start to see then the shift where Microsoft sellers actually know, hey, this is a trusted, like this solution is awesome. They've been able to deliver to my enterprise customers, and now I have a portfolio that I would love to continue to bring them into. So then you'll start to see leads get shared outbound from Microsoft to you. But that, I would say, to set the expectation, that's typically after you've been doing this and have at least achieved like 3 co-sell wins where maybe you brought the opportunity and collaborated with our sellers to drive closure for that customer. And I would say, last year, I don't know the percentage off the top of my head. We have, oh man, let me see here. Let me just do the math really fast. Let's see. I think we closed, it was like 25% of the opportunity, like open opportunities, but a lot of that is, some of these are still active opportunities because they're like, your sales cycles can be anywhere from, I've seen as fast as like 4 weeks to, 9 months. So it just really depends. But yeah, I hope is that helpful?
We have so many questions. Let us know if it was helpful. Thumbs up if it was, thumbs down if it wasn't. You can use the emojis there. I don't know what to start with. There was one really good question that I saw, and that was about KPIs for sales guys. I think it's a question that comes up quite a lot. So is there, what are the KPIs for the Microsoft sales guys, which make a startup, respectively, its solution interesting for the sales team?
Mm-hmm. So all of our account teams, for the most part, carry an Azure consumption revenue metric. So the way that they're incentivized is about 70% of their incentive base is on these targets, and then 35% of that 70% is Azure consumption. So what, for a lot of our startups that are built on Azure, like by you helping sell with your solution platform in Azure, if they work with you to sell into an enterprise customer, what happens is they actually get 10% quota retirement in the annual contract value that you have with that customer. So let's continue with this Liberty Insurance example. So if you shared that opportunity with Microsoft and the account team accepted it and said, hey, we'd love to help on this, like what do you need? You've started the co-sell motion. And when ideally you're getting to the end of that, and it's, you win that customer and you've won that contract, and let's say it's $200,000 US dollars, then what you'll do as a startup is you're going to register that as a co-sell win, just meaning to tell Microsoft, hey, this was actually a deal that we collaborated with the sales team on. They totally helped. It is registered as a win. And you will put in the contract value amount, and what's going to happen is then the sellers will get paid out an upfront quota retirement of 10% of that total annual contract value. So they'll get Azure quota relief towards their actual metrics for the year. And then if the solution was transacted through our marketplace, so you could do this two ways. You could transact through our marketplace, like if you've published an offer in our marketplace, and let's say Liberty Mutual is like, great, I want to buy it, but I just want to buy it on Microsoft's paper, then you could transact it through the marketplace. If it's transacted through the marketplace, then the sellers are going to get ongoing consumption, quota retirement consumption, ongoing consumption retirement. Does that make sense? So sorry. So if, like, even though you likely have a SaaS solution that's running on your tenant, if it's transacted through our marketplace, not only does the seller get the upfront quota relief from the annual contract value, they're going to go ahead and get ongoing relief from the consumption that you're driving because of that Liberty Insurance customer. So can be tremendously valuable when you're helping them actually hit their incentives. If it's not purchased through the marketplace, that's totally fine. You could go outside of that and just they just go through your normal procurement process. But that means that the seller would only get the initial upfront quota relief. Again, still valuable. They often need third-party partners like yourselves to help them hit their quota. And so that's part of why this all works, right? And then the sellers getting paid out has nothing to do with the revenue that you make. It's literally Microsoft has just decided that that's how we're going to incentivize our sellers. So it doesn't take away from what you get. It doesn't take away, the customer's not paying for it. It's just Microsoft giving our sellers that credit.
All right, there's another question. So with more specific questions, again, so that you guys know, I will take down all the questions and I will answer them via email if we don't have time, because there are a lot of them. So keep posting them. I will just go to more generic questions just because they're more, I think, important for everyone here on the call. So there's one question about the discount rates by Microsoft. So are startups linked to the corporate discount rates by Microsoft? Corporate discount for all Microsoft software is 90%.
Are startups linked to corporate discount rates by Microsoft? Not that I know of. That's not something that's a standard practice for us.
All right. Feel free to choose yours, Samantha.
Like what, these questions? Do they get compensated or revenue for their target? I think we might have answered that. Sorry.
Yes, we did. I think we did.
Who connects us with the right Microsoft account manager in case we bring leads on the table? Is this facilitated through the program? It is, actually. So that's a great question. So when you become, when you IP coast already, so you go through this process. What it gets you access to is a bi-directional lead sharing tool. It's Partner Center. So Partner Center is the place where you go to manage your partnership with Microsoft. And this is the tool where you're going to actually work to publish an offer in the marketplace. It's also a place where you can manage like your Microsoft Partner Network membership if you've done that. And it's also the place that once you get to this co-sell motion, it'll unlock a feature where you can share leads and also receive leads from Microsoft. And what that tool does is that it's actually automatically matches. So if you were to upload the opportunity with Liberty Mutual, you would select the best practice that we would give to you is to select the headquarter location for Liberty Mutual, even if you're working with a subsidiary of them, to select the headquarter location, and then it'll automatically match you with the account teams aligned to Liberty Mutual, sends them a notification. They get the notification to say, hey, this is this company that's a partner of Microsoft that has a co-sell opportunity with Liberty Mutual. We would love, would you like to engage? And essentially it kind of gives them the quick information that you would fill out in the lead sharing tool, where you talk about the opportunity, what you need, the contract value, the potential Azure consumption that it would drive. And essentially they get the chance to accept your client. If they accept it, then they'll actually connect you. They'll connect an email with you guys. And that's how that's all done. So the tool is actually really designed that you don't need a person to help you with this, but we have, like I said, we have a success management team that is my team that will actually kind of guide you through this process, because it can be really overwhelming. And we also then will look to try to figure out, are there other ways that we can better connect you with specific industries to maybe just foster net new pipeline that you wouldn't have had before, whether that's getting you, I think I saw a question on, how SaaS doing in education. So we can try to connect you with the education industry, depending on what your solution does and who you're targeting, so that they can just be aware of your solution. And if they have any opportunities or customers that they think your solution would be a good fit for, so that's what a success manager will do. But the tool itself is designed so that you could not have a human helping you. And if you bring opportunities, it'll match it directly, and then you can be off to the races. And vice versa, Microsoft could then share leads to you, and you can decide to accept or decline them. If you accept them, then you'll connect with the account teams that are aligned to that specific opportunity and work.
I think there's one really interesting question. Did you ever experience conflicting solutions, startup versus Microsoft solution?
Yeah, I will say there's definitely some scenarios where it's a slightly conflicting, but here's the approach that Microsoft has made is essentially we're wanting to bring to our customer the best possible solution. So the sellers are going to get paid either way, right? They're going to get paid if they purchase Microsoft or they purchase the startup solution. And so what we're looking for is, hey, if you have an opportunity with that specific customer, we want to support you to get you in front of the customer, but you still have to win that customer, right? And just like the customer is ultimately going to be the one that decides is if they want to go with the Microsoft product or if they want to go with the startup solution. So it really is just a matter of making sure that you have when I say your sales strategy is in place, that's a big piece that we're looking for with startups, is that you have this very clear value prop. You understand your target audience and their need and their pain points and why your solution is even better than what Microsoft's offering. Or the biggest win for us is there any way that there's a better together story, right? Where it's hey, actually this fits really well with our solutions. And so that then it's not an either or, but there are, in some cases, and in that case, as Microsoft, we want to bring any relative solution to our customers and let them decide. So you would still have to do the process to actually sell and win that customer, and it's up to them.
I think there's also an interesting question from Christoph. How suitable are hardware software solutions for co-sell? Where only software runs on Azure, but not as an app, but to buy. I think it's an interesting question of broadly, what is how different solutions can sell with Microsoft.
How suitable are hardware software solutions? So the co-sell motion is only software. So like actually selling, if our field sellers, like our sellers won't sell hardware. So if that's how your solution is packaged with hardware, that they would only get incentivized for the software solution that's being sold. Now, with that being said, there are scenarios where, again, like they can work with you because you have that software that's flagged as like IP co-sell ready, and the hardware would also get sold, but they wouldn't get incentivized on any of the hardware that's being sold. So it's just is the actual co-sell motion can only be done with software.
How about we are at Trace-Key build a SaaS solution completely on Azure technology within our tenant, but the Azure consumption cannot be attributed directly to a customer contract. How can this help to incentivize the sellers?
Yeah, and that's honestly that's the typical. Almost all of our solutions that are in the co-sell program are SaaS solutions, and so that's why there's the upfront quota retirement. So you get 10% of the total, and the sellers get 10% of the total annual contract value in upfront quota relief, even if it never hits their customer's tenant. Then if it's transacted through our marketplace, which is what we, again, it would be a really great situation for everybody. If it's transacted through our marketplace, then they actually continue to get ongoing quota relief, because you're going to be enrolled automatically in this other, like what's called this partner reported ACR program, where you would just report back monthly, hey, this is how much Azure consumption this specific customer is driving on our tenant. And so then the sellers would get incentivized ongoing, right? So that's the benefit of having the transaction through our marketplace. But if it's not, that again, it's totally fine. They still get that upfront quota retirement based off the annual contract value.
I think there's one question that is not here, but comes up a lot in my conversations is, does our solution have to be 100% on Azure?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. That's my Microsoft hat. No, it doesn't have to be. But we would really love to understand, like, as a startup, what are the things that are what's not on Azure and why. So no, it doesn't have to 100% be on Azure, but it does have to be, like, you have to be on Azure. You do have to be consuming it a meaningful amount, and honestly, the more success you're going to have is the more deeply integrated you are with our technologies. So it's kind of this, like, you don't have to be, but again, the startups that I've seen be more successful really are migrating or building their entire platform on Azure. But I also understand that there's some things that just don't work for some startups, and so that's okay.
There's one question about partner selling. With that question, we can answer it quickly, because the next session, if you enjoyed this one, guys, the next session will be focused basically on that, on partner to partner selling. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. If you have more questions, we still have 3 minutes. So this is the time to post them.
Channel manager for a partner ecosystem. That's something, yeah. I mean, it's great, awesome that you're going to be bringing someone in, Sophia, to talk about that. It's such a phenomenal sales strategy. I would highly recommend startups really think through that. But yeah, that's definitely something that we can help you do at Microsoft. But what I think that there's a few steps before that is, like, we could connect you, but you need to make sure that you have a channel practice strategy built out, that you understand, again, kind of when you think through, like, what's the value for that channel partner to sell your solution? What's the target, like, maybe there's a target geography that you're looking for. What's your pricing strategy going to be? Obviously you'll need to negotiate all that type of stuff. So I think those are things that we would want to equip you with before we made those connections, because we'd want it to be valuable, right? Like, when we go to our channel partners, we want to make sure we're saying, hey, this is a startup solution that we think could really drive revenue for you and your customers. And then ultimately, for as a startup, it's going to help you scale a lot faster with a lot less liability. because they can ultimately act as like an entirely different sales arm in an entirely different part of the world without you having to stand up a bunch of probably not offices right now because everybody's working from home, but without having to hire headcount and all that stuff. So, but that is something that we can help you with, right? Like that's part of the benefit of Microsoft is that we have this entire channel over the world that we could try. If you said, hey, this is the channel partner I would love to get an introduction to, absolutely, we can try to connect you with a partner. What they're actually called partner marketing advisors for those channel partners. We would connect you with them to see if there's an opportunity for them to introduce and create a relationship.
I would like to ask the last question that also comes up a lot, and then we will go to networking lunch. So guys, just so you know, when you go to the networking lunch, there are tables. There are marked in industries, but you can just join any table and just connect with our colleagues also who are online here from Microsoft for Startup side and from the Microsoft GmbH side. One question that comes up quite a lot is, can I co-sell? How long can I co-sell with Microsoft for Startups? And when does it? What happens after? What happens after I graduate from Microsoft?
Yeah. So our goal in the Microsoft for Startups program is we want to help you build a long-term durable relationship with Microsoft, right? So we want to get you access to our technology. We want to get you commercially. We want to help you go to market commercially. But we also want you to understand, like, what does it look like? How do you continue to move from this program and be successful with Microsoft? So a couple things. If you matriculate your way to the IP co-sell program where you're actually wanting to sell with our field sellers, that's part of your strategy, the success manager that's going to be assigned to you from my team, they will stay on with you even after you've graduated off the Microsoft for Starters program. Our goal is to see at least 3 co-sell wins. So where we've seen you actually sell and collaborate with our sellers to achieve 3 net new co-sell wins. And really what we're looking for there is because, as I said earlier, the tool's all designed for you to use to do it without a person, right? So we want you to understand, like, our goal would be to make sure that we've taught you how to fish with Microsoft, that you know how to use the tools, that you know how to work with our sellers, and then you can keep doing it. And ideally what we're going to try to do then is connect you into the local One Commercial Partner organization at Microsoft, because that is the organization that actually manages partnerships, right? So when you think about a durable relationship with Microsoft, after you've come through the Startups program, we want you to land in the OCP organization, because that's going to be where you continue. Our largest ISVs are managed out of that organization, so that's where we want to continue. So we'll try to connect you with your local OCP teams and get you connected in the communities. But ideally, you already have access to all the tools. You know how to work the system so that you can gain traction through the marketplace, through our partner channel, and through the IP co-sell motion.
Fantastic. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you so much. Now, if you have time, feel free to join our networking as well. I hope you guys to see you in the lunch now. And again, please share your feedback with me. It's super important for us to improve, and we can only improve if we know what you like and what you don't like and what we should continue and stop doing. So thank you once again, and see you at the tables. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.